Oh, we are live,
Woo!
Brad.
Whew.
The 5-0 Indiana Hoosiers going into a bye week. No better feeling than winning than going into a bye. This is Indiana Iowa postgame live. Like, man, it's nice to be sitting here talking about a win, but boy, do we sweat that one out.
Yeah, talking all off season, we anticipated going into the bye week 5-0. Obviously, had our work cut out for us dealing with Illinois at home. Got Iowa on the road. Never an easy slate when you have to deal with all that. And they just got the job done. Now they're 5-0 going to a bye week where they're going to be preparing for. They got 2 weeks to prepare for a top 10 matchup on the road on the West Coast. Obviously, we're recapping Iowa. We're not going to jump to the next big game just yet, but I think, they got the job done, and at the end of the day, that's really what matters. And yeah, I actually was really happy with the result and what I saw on the field, in the sense to where it wasn't perfect and they still got the job done in a game where it felt like if they weren't what we thought they were going to lose, and they won. Right, they were able to get it done, and there was some key differences in the game that they were able to take advantage of, and they got the job done. It's exciting when you're able to win ugly while winning pretty the week before. It just says a lot about your football team, and that you're able to win in so many different types of ways. And now we're seeing that with this team. We saw it a little bit last year. It was a little bit heavy on the blowouts, but yeah. What do you think, Keys?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with the point you made there, and I want to actually take a second pause here and do something we don't normally do and tease our show on Tuesday, Brad, for the
Okay.
bye week, and we are going to discuss Iowa, and we're gonna talk about the game, we're gonna talk about the crowd, and we're gonna talk about Mendoza and Surratt and the ins and outs of the game. But man, we got a loaded show on Tuesday. Tuesday night, we have the man, the myth, the legend himself. We have Brian P. Lawton on the show. He's very gracious. He's giving us some of his time. So we're going to ask him some questions, talk to him about, the case, talk to him about, fighting the good fight and all that good stuff, and give Hoosier fans a chance to say thank you. So super excited for that. And then piggybacking off of that, we're going to have Jamie Jordan on, IU Reactionary Hoosier Huddles, Jamie Jordan. We're going to look backwards at the first 5 weeks of the season. We're going to look at Indiana recruiting because the boys are going on the trail this week. And then we're going to look forward to the rest of the season. So loaded bye week show. Definitely be on the lookout for that on Tuesday. Could not be more excited. Probably going to be my favorite show of the year so far.
Yeah, no, I'm excited for the bye week extravaganza part 3. I love bye week extravaganza week, but yeah, we're getting into, let's revert it back, back to Iowa, right? Because I want to be able to, just, ball up the paper, throw it over my head, throw it in the trash, just kind of move on. And yeah, 5-0, 8 AP rank 8 in the country. I saw it right before I hopped on here today. Saw the AP rankings.
We don't care about polls before November, Brad. I'm not going to sit here and say that 3-4 weeks ago and then sit here and be like, look at our ranking in the poll now. It's like, if I didn't care then, I'm not going to care now. It's like, I know we're one of the 5 to 8 best football teams in the country, and they get another chance to prove it in a couple weeks, but they had a chance to prove it against Iowa. And to the point you led the show with, that was a game that most teams find a way to lose. And with the home crowd and with momentum on their side, Iowa found a way to lose that game. Indiana found a way to win. And it wasn't pretty. Like, it wasn't the blowout we were expecting, or the blowout it looked like when Indiana opened the game, tipping the ball, like the Isaiah Jones tip to the Amari Farrell pick, and then the 2 plays later we're celebrating in the end zone. It's like, oh my God, like I can't believe how well this is going. And then all of a sudden, like, we were just playing an hour of Iowa football. Yeah. But to come out and win that game, like, says so much about this football team. So much.
Yeah, I think, with the offense, they just got trapped into, because I'm just going to start it with when we had the ball, right? Because I think that's the one thing that needs to be addressed, right? And going into the game, we gave our score predictions right, but I think from what I was saying, at least, was I couldn't see us scoring no less than 20 points, and I really couldn't see a path to where Iowa could score more than 20 points. And that was kind of the point at which I knew that we were going to pull out a dub. And funny enough, it's like like clockwork, exactly like the Michigan game last year, because this Iowa team and that Michigan team last year eerily similar in terms of just like talent. I think obviously that Michigan team had a lot more talent, but eerily similar just in terms of like the way they play, how disciplined they are. They don't make mistakes. I think there was like 4 penalties in that entire game. You could have.
Yeah, I think Iowa got penalized once, and they were all over Surratt. They were holding Kamara every play, like nothing was getting called.
A lot of missed calls, in my opinion, especially early on the outsides between us and Iowa's DBs, which is all like if that's how you're going to call it, just keep it consistent throughout the game, and I guess they did. So there's really not much to be upset about. Because they just kept it consistent. That's what refs needed.
Yeah, they did. Because there was a Jamari Sharp play late in the game where it looked like he arrived a little bit early, and they didn't call it. Which, I again, to your point, was consistent throughout the whole game. Yeah, I was surprised. I guess in hindsight, not surprising given how effective Iowa's home crowd is, given how elite they are at game planning. Phil Parker, Kirk Ferentz have been together for their entire time at Iowa. There's a reason why Phil Parker is widely regarded as one of the best defensive coordinators in the country. Some of the things they were doing on the interior pass rush, like Sig talked about it in his presser, Mendoza got hit on that first pass attempt on 3rd and 2, and it said they kind of spooked the play calling the rest of the half. And you saw it. They threw the ball 7 times in the first half, which is utterly ridiculous, especially if you look at the way Rutgers was attacking Iowa down the field. And if you listen to the way, our conversation with the Iowa guys on Tuesday, they were highlighting like Iowa's deficiencies in the secondary, and it felt like Indiana didn't take nearly enough advantage of that.
Yeah, what Iowa did really well, which I don't think even I anticipated too much, was Cohen Entringer, Nwakpa, their 2 safeties. They were getting them heavily involved in pass rush situations. They were just scheming them open. They were giving us different packages that I don't think you really saw on tape up until this game from Iowa. They were having Entringer 4 and Nwakpa was 1. So I'm just going to call them 1 and 4 the rest of the day. 1 and 4 were just, especially 1. 1 was coming down. They
were everywhere,
sprinting down and timing the count, which is like eerily similar. I was noticing we were going silent count. We had our guards doing the arm tap right to snap the ball, and they were able to time that up. And then on top of that, Aaron Graves and Max Llewellyn, the 2 guys that I shouted out, that I highlighted going into this game, they were winning one-on-one matchups against our guys, especially on that right side of on the offensive line. Bray Lynch and Mikowski and Benson, they all got ticked during this game. They were getting beaten one-on-one matchups. On top of everything that they were doing schematically, bringing in different looks, confusing Mendoza, confusing our O-line, there were times where they would just rush forward and they would just lose the one-on-one matchup at the same time. And I think that's something to highlight, right? Like,
well, I think snap count has a lot to do with that. Yeah. And that was like, we'll go over the keys to the game because I didn't have a chance to record an instant reaction because I took in some SEC football last night and my takeaway was Indiana Hoosiers. But number 4, and something that we were circling was how is this team going to handle the crowd noise? And something Signetti had mentioned coming into the game was they had worked on some different things. And what did we see was the same silent count that Ohio State and Notre Dame were both able to time up. And it wasn't hard to tell when you're, to your point, you saying it out loud, being like the safeties were literally sprinting at the line of scrimmage. Like it was a running start. Like there were points in the game where, and Indiana's defense did a phenomenal job of this. I think Iowa on their average rush was like hitting the backfield, like 3 yards deep or something like that. Like Jamie Jordan posted the PFF video clip of Indiana, how much havoc they were creating. But yeah, it was, their physicality in the run game, and I definitely completely lost my train of thought going to the PFF.
Iowa showed up like Iowa does, and we just
exactly
fell into that type of Iowa game. And if you're gonna go far in the Big Ten, you're gonna run into a game like this every year. I don't think it's a false alarm. We all remember Ohio State had their very scrap fest type game with Nebraska, oddly enough, the week after we played them, and they end up pulling that one out 17-14, and people were questioning them. But I don't think this is what I'm alluding to. Indiana's still very good. I think any win you get done in Iowa City is an elite win, a big.
My point being, when you give defenses like this and talented defenses with the home crowd, the ability to literally sprint at the line and get a jump on the snap, like you're playing at a disadvantage. And so on top of everything, to your point that they were doing schematically and with the crowd, they were a step faster than our offensive line when the offense should have the, you know, the advantage of surprise. Like they get to decide when the ball moves. But when you're
Yeah.
going silent count and everybody knows when the ball moves, that advantage is gone.
Yeah, it felt like defensively, we're not going to talk about defense yet, but defensively, when Iowa had the ball, we were dictating things in terms of what was happening, and we were dictating the flow. The surprising thing was Iowa's defense was dictating what was going on that side of the ball, and that's not really something we were anticipating, but we were still able to break through it and move forward and get a dub. Specifically, like I said, bring it in 1 and 4, the safeties. They're going cover 0 a lot in that game. And it was surprising that they didn't take advantage of it, but sooner rather than later, which they eventually did. They were able to get Elijah Surratt one-on-one with Lee, and that was eventually the difference of the game. A matchup that we highlighted before this game, Lee versus Surratt.
Well, shout out to Zach on the Iowa channel who pointed that one out and said he was terrified if that becomes a one-on-one matchup. And so it just goes to show you the Iowa guys understand what they're looking at. They run a good channel over there.
And it was a one-on-one matchup, but it was working because they're Llewellyn and Graves and then Trenger, like they were able to get home on a Mendoza in a fast enough time to win, right? And all it took was really just that one play at the end for us to finally break through and beat that cover 0. And
I was gonna say, the key to success number 3, Brad, was protect Mendoza. And for a large majority of this game, they did not protect Mendoza. And it really wasn't until he got blasted on the sideline by, I forget, was it 4 or 1? I can't remember which safety hit him, but another one of those plays where those dudes specifically were flying around and completely legal hit. But watching the reaction from the sideline after that, it really felt like that hit specifically woke the entire team up. And it was like, okay, like maybe we should start protecting this guy, because if not, then he's actually going to get hurt. Like that was a wild sequence of events and a very terrifying way to end the third quarter. But it went back to another thing Signetti said in his presser was the offense, the way they play call, they don't exactly love, or it doesn't always look pretty when you go do 7-man protection and you have three guys running routes and you're just forcing guys to win one-on-one. But when you're facing a team that's bringing house blitzes and blitz 0 and leaving guys in one-on-one coverage, when you have guys like Elijah Surratt and Omar Cooper and EJ Williams who can go make plays, I was a little surprised that wasn't more of the game plan. But again, like you look at some of the hits Mendoza took in this game, he delivered a dart on 3rd down where he ate a blitzing linebacker, where it literally was like a Tony Romo flashback where it's like, you don't want him taking those. The hit he took on the sideline wasn't great. And they were able to get to the quarterback. There was a roughing the passer call, which was one of the only penalties in the game. You got to keep that guy upright. And you saw when they were finally able to give him time, he's going to deliver. And like that 3rd down, 3rd and 7, enemy territory, got to have it. And they have it. Like, and you go to your 2 guys, that's, you can't feel more confident as a Hoosier fan. Like that's exactly what you want. You want the ball in 15's hands and you hope he goes towards 13.
Exactly. And I'm going to give my helmet sticker actually to Fernando Mendoza. Despite everything that was going on, it didn't look like a great game. Not the prettiest stat line from his end. Still ended up with 230, 2 tutties, 1 to Coop, 1 to Surratt. Mendoza was making some tough throws in there. He had a couple where he was just taking a hit and he was putting it on an absolute rope, just making play after play. I mean, for me, it even proved even more so how much I believe in this kid, that he was able to step up, especially, come down to the 4th quarter. And we all saw the post-game presser, a little, a band of brothers, a little on the nose, a little cheesy, but, we'll take it. And,
he's a little bit of a cheese ball, but who cares? That's our cheese ball. You know what I mean? Like, I love that guy. I would run through a wall for Fernando Mendoza. Band of brothers, like doing it with the boys. Like, sure, dude, throw them all out there. I don't even care.
Yeah, and the run game was still very strong. They averaged about 4.5 yards per carry. I'm giving my other helmet sticker to Roman Hemby. I think week after week, he is the engine of this offense. I know he doesn't have a touchdown quite yet this year, but it's very clear that he's probably the most important piece to this offense. It really doesn't get going until Hemby gets going. And yeah, when he's rolling, the whole offense is able to at least stay competitive. And yeah, we still outgained Iowa by 100 yards in this game. It wasn't as close as maybe the scoreboard would say. Yeah, Roman Hemby played fantastic, and he's going to continue to be, you know, a lifeline for this team.
100%. And I think something you didn't even point out was the drive at the end of the half where Indiana gets the ball back down 3. They have 22 seconds or whatever it is. They run a draw play. Looks like they're going to run out the clock. And Roman Hemby they just didn't tackle Roman Hemby, and he didn't hear a whistle, so he didn't stop running. And all of a sudden, Indiana, you get that. You have the penalty, and Indiana gets 3 points out of that drive. You go into half tied instead of down 3. It's a whole different ball game. You get the ball back. I'll give a helmet sticker out right now too, and I think Surratt is like an obvious helmet sticker, but I'll give one to Nico Radicic, who I thought, other than Roman Hemby, was by far the MVP of this game.
I was gonna go
Nico Radicic. The fact that, and I'm going to make fun of you for a second, you gave Indiana's special teams a 6 because you were worried about Nico Radicic's range, and that kid kicked not one but 2 44-plus yard field goals and drilled them both. Cold as ice, staring into the crowd.
Yeah,
he was phenomenal and has been his entire college career. And just another reason why it's so important to have somebody who can make kicks. Like, it sounds stupid, it sounds silly, but that guy's ice, and he was immense in a road environment where it felt like he was the calmest guy in the building.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still standing by my take because, you know, in a national scheme of things, like, you know, your Big Ten kicker should be knocking down 50-yarders, and then
but if they're close enough, they're going to go for it anyway.
Yeah. But if he's not that, and he just wants to be automatic inside 50, that's all right with me. And that career-long field goal toward the end of the first half was probably the biggest play of the game. Absolutely needed that to make it a tie ball game going into the half, and absolutely cold-blooded. I was going to give a helmet sticker to Nico, to Ratty as well. And, special teams was great. Weechin didn't really do a whole lot. There was one point we punted to him when I don't think we should have. And
no, I was going to say special teams, other than that one punt, was immaculate. Brendan Franke was phenomenal. He deserves another helmet sticker. No kick returns again. Like, that guy is a menace. The one time Iowa was able to put the ball in the end zone is when we kicked it to Weetjen or whatever his name is, and he scooted around for 30 yards. And also, that was the spark of their team. You could tell. And again, guy touched the ball like 3 times on offense. Like, makes absolutely no sense. I don't understand it at all. They have that weapon. It's very clear their screen game works. It was working a little bit when they had to bring in Hank Brown at the end there. But aside from the one punt in the first quarter that went to Weetjen, special teams was nails too. They were phenomenal.
Yeah. They had a couple plays they were able to get Weetjen in space, but yeah, like you said, they should be getting that guy the ball way more. So I guess
that guy 9 out of 10 touches. It doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, so I think that brings us to a good transition to where we can start talking about defense, right? And defense obviously showed out. I thought all credit, like, we're not giving enough credit to Iowa. I thought offensively they played fantastic. Gronowski was looking great.
Gronowski's a gamer, dude.
They stuck to their game.
I was impressed with him.
Kamari Moulton had a fantastic game as well. He was able to get some very timely big run plays from out of him. And then Hank Brown came in with this lively arm, and he kind of made do as well. Obviously resulting, you know, each of them threw a pick. And I just want to give a shout out to Isaiah Bones-Jones, man. That guy has really broken out into probably our best defensive player the past 3 weeks. And he is someone where I kind of joked around when I was talking about the linebacker room at some point and was like, I don't see Isaiah Bones-Jones leaving early. Like, he's having a hell of a year. Is all I'm gonna say. I'm not saying he's gonna go early. I'm just saying
he's leading the team in sacks
right now. Yeah,
I think he leads the team in sacks.
Yeah,
I think actually it is. It's never a good thing to be talking about this stuff. It is both a good thing and kind of a bad thing that it's been 19 and a half, 20 minutes, and we haven't mentioned the fact that D'Angelo Pons didn't play in this game, which thank God they ended up like being able to pull it out without him. But you saw at points in that game, especially when Gronowski was moving the ball over the middle, like they definitely missed. Like, it would be silly to think D'Angelo Pons wouldn't have had an impact in that game. And that's not to say that the defense didn't look good. I thought Rylan Gandy stepping up looked great. I thought Jamari Sharp stepping into the cornerback 1 role. It really didn't look like the defense took too much of a step back, but just it looked like everybody was a little bit of a step slow.
Yeah, it seemed like our defense was fine. Like we held them under 300 yards. Iowa played really well for their standards. Is what like
Yeah, well,
my eye
actually,
test was telling. Like they were getting guys open. Like they were scheming guys up. Guys were wide open. It wasn't necessarily like they had an install specifically for Indiana. There was a couple plays where they would run the slot, through the zone, and he would just stay there. Right. There was a few plays like that where they were able to move the ball. Right. Just scheme them open by just through film prep. Right. And
Indiana plays a ton of
that's
cover 3.
yeah, and that's
That
not
zone
gonna,
has been open.
that's not gonna be able. That's gonna get them to move the ball then, but like over the longevity of a 60-minute game, that's not gonna allow you to get over the edge. It's gonna keep you in it, make things interesting toward the end, but it's not what's gonna get you the victory.
Yeah, when you need a
yeah,
play, Indiana's going to take that away.
The bend don't break. Indiana Hoosiers, worked to perfection all day yesterday, and yeah, defense played exactly as I thought they would.
Well, and I would say Iowa had a good game in the sense that they kept the score close, but Iowa's offensive line did not have a good game. Their PFF grade was the worst under their current offensive coordinator, the worst since 2023. They had a 48 run grade as a group. This is they were the best offensive line in the country by PFF grade coming into this game. I think, like I said before, Moulton, who had a really good game, was getting hit in the backfield an average of 3 yards deep before he could even get going. They absolutely took away the run for Iowa, and credit to Mark Gronowski. Key number one to success was stopping Mark Gronowski, and for parts of this game, they weren't able to stop him. To your point, they were scheming guys open, going over the middle, and we saw what happened when Indiana was able to take that away. And it would have been a little bit more of an interesting game because, Gronowski was in the field of the game versus like Hank Brown coming off the bench. But like even on the play where Gronowski got hurt, like it looked like Roe Hardy may have like clipped his knee or something, but he like barely got a piece of him. Like it was
I don't know if you saw, they showed a second replay, we were able to see it better. It was he got tripped. It had nothing to do with Roe Hardy touching him.
That's what I was saying. He like planted weird.
Him falling and his left knee buckled. I'm actually very concerned with Mark Gronowski, considering it's probably his last year bringing a football quarterback, and just from a career like human standpoint, just concerned about him. Because he played lights out. He was awesome. There is a world where if Gronowski doesn't get hurt, that the result could be different. You're right. Like they were able to move the ball with Hank Brown. Like clearly they had some schemes going up for, maybe the result of those plays be a little different with if Gronowski's out there.
I would say like Iowa. I
don't want to make that. That's not the narrative of the game.
No, that's not the narrative of the game, which is why that wasn't going to be the like.
Yeah, but I'm just saying there is a big what if there, right?
No, there is, and that's something that Iowa fans can hang their hat on. Not that you want to be doing that to an injury, like that's never what you want to do. But yeah, I don't know. But yeah, in terms of stopping Mark Gronowski, you saw when Indiana was able to hit him and like get Iowa in 3rd and long that they were not having a ton of success. Like this was a battle of field position, and to Iowa's credit, something they haven't been great at this year. They largely dominated field position in this game, and the crowd was very effective. Jonathan Brady caught a punt inside the 5-yard line. Like that was insane.
Yeah, I remember freaking out when he fair caught that at the 2. But then I said 98 yards to my boys, and they almost choked it scored. But yeah, it was it was an overall just fantastic game day. We were at Sluggers in Chicago, right? And it was there's some, that's like obviously Big Ten East, Big Ten West, not the biggest Indiana rivalry, but I feel like that game was getting chippy. I feel like that
it was getting chippy. Well, they were matching Indiana's physicality for sure.
Yeah, I think just they're very similarly coached teams, right? And I think there's just a gameplay style to where it kind of creates a rivalry, and obviously having very large, at least in my world, Chicago fan bases. Right. So, Sluggers had a good mix. There's some Iowa people there, even though it's an IU bar. It was pretty electric. a lot of Hoosiers, a lot of very electric atmosphere, I would say. And yeah, it was just an overall just great game day. Iowa didn't come away with it, but I was never confident in that game. Not once.
Well, no, I mean, there was I'll go back again to something you said earlier. Like, if Indiana wasn't the team we thought they were, then this is a game they lose. And there
Mhm.
was a point in that second quarter where you could kind of feel people going like, "Oh boy, like I don't know what's happening here." And even up till
Up
it was so
until,
impressive.
up until the
I was gonna say,
Surratt
yeah.
touchdown.
Well, no, I was gonna say up until like the missed field goal and the way the defense played was nails, and the pick late by Lewis Moore was big time, and not being able to capitalize off that kind of hurt. But the fact that they were able to hold him to a field goal opportunity, and that kid who had hit 2 field goals from 50 plus pulls the the
That was
chip
me.
shot
I did.
technically.
I whooshed it. I whooshed it left. That was. You're welcome. I helped with that.
Haven't had a chance to find the clip or watching it. I swear that one pass bounced off the ground. They reviewed and called it complete. No, actually hit him right in the palm. It was really,
Yeah,
really
it was
impressive.
an insane catch.
No, Moore definitely had a pick. Lewis Moore definitely had a pick. I tweeted it all caps. I I could tell you the emotion I felt when Lewis Moore came away with that interception.
Lewis Moore has a pick, but they credit on the ESPN box score. It says EJ Williams because they both wear number 7. So that is
Yeah,
the
shout out to EJ for the pick. Everybody, the whole shot to EJ Williams was such a beautiful throw from Fernando Mendoza. Holy hell!
Yeah,
Holy hell!
yeah, they be doing that sometimes. Abel, it's crazy. They don't get they don't get the stats right every time.
Speaking of interceptions, key number 5 and the final key to success: get a single turnover. Indiana had 2, and we weren't anticipating the Mendoza turnover,
One
but
first quarter and one fourth quarter. You argue very timely turnovers as
very
well.
timely. The first one led to a score. The second one killed any momentum Iowa had. But yeah, I was gonna say getting like the fact that Mendoza turned the ball over and the fact that Indiana went for it on 4th down 3-4 times from inside the like 4th and 1, 4th and inches, 4th and 2, whatever it was, and didn't get it, you can essentially count those as turnovers. Indiana lost the turnover battle in this game 4-2.
Yeah.
Playing on the road against in a really tough road environment in a game that was harder than they expected it to be. They lost the turnover battle by 2 and still came out with a win.
Yeah, and I think winning now. And here we go. Okay, now we've talked about both sides of the ball. We've talked about special teams. We've talked about who the guys that showed up today. Now it's kind of a.
Wait. Do you have a defensive helmet sticker?
I gave it to Bones Jones.
Okay, so we both give it to Bones Jones.
Looney Tunes. Yeah, Looney Tunes himself. That's my new nickname for him.
But I thought the entire front 7 was awesome. I thought Aiden Fisher had an awesome game. I thought Ro Hardy had an awesome game.
Wyatt and
D-line
Bailey
was
had
great.
great games.
Yeah, they did.
Was awesome.
Tyreek Tucker had an awesome
Jose
game
Wheeler
as well. That guy
game too. He's finally figuring it out a little bit.
They had Wheeler playing end at one point.
Yeah, I saw that. That was really cool. They had Landino playing end too. They were trying to go bigger against this Iowa front.
They were giving Iowa a lot of different looks. And this is why you go out and you get people like Wheeler and Ratcliffe, and you have guys like Landino, and you can rotate in and out. And Kamara was lining up on the guards too at points.
Yeah, there was I need to talk about Kamara a little bit actually. He had some moments where we needed him to make a play and he just didn't make the play. And that's just something that I think just needs to be a little called out. I'm not concerned about Mikhail Kamara. I think he's gonna be fine. I just think he needs someone telling him that. I mean, I'm sure there probably is someone. They're probably.
I'm sure he's telling himself that. You think he's like happy he didn't get Kanowski on the ground?
Mikhail Kamara didn't make him. So, yeah, that's someone that we need to just keep an eye on. But overall, just great showing for the fellas. And I'm glad they went through a game like this on the road.
When it comes down to it, I have faith Mikhail Kamara is going to make plays. But yeah, you're right. There were a couple missed opportunities out there for him that he's going to watch the film and be upset about.
Yeah. And that's a good thing, right? Like, I don't want to go. I didn't really want to go into Iowa thinking everything's all hunky dory, coming off a 40-point win, thinking about how good we are going into the Oregon week, right? I like that we have a shit ton of shit to clean up in film and try to get better. And it's very clear and obvious, like that right side of the O-line, some of the defensive play, just little things that Iowa, a very well prepared team, was able to expose. And now we have just a little bit more data on what teams are going to start attacking us with before we go into Oregon. And I think that's a huge leg up as opposed to going right into that Oregon game without having to face any sort of adversity throughout the year.
I agree with the take, except like My problem with that take becomes if they look the same way they did against Iowa if they look that way against Oregon, then it's going to be a much different result. And so if they take this experience and they go back and they take these 2 weeks and they learn from it, and
Well, yeah.
maybe they go away from the silent count or they do a
I'm
couple other
assuming
things.
they're going to learn from it. Yeah.
If they go into Oregon with silent count and let those athletes get a running start at the offensive line, like you're asking for trouble. So I don't know what the fix is there. I'm obviously not an offensive guru. I have a lot of trust and faith in this staff. But yeah, it's either good or bad, right? Like it's either they face some adversity, they maybe thought the game was going to be a little bit easier and they were still able to pull themselves together and win a football game, or it was that they had a little bit of trouble with the scheme and the athletes, and that it could be something that we see. Now, I wouldn't say exposed, because this Indiana football team has proved it's a good football team. It can win gritty football games. But there are also teams that are on paper like have more like have 4 and 5 star athletes that have NFL draft buzz and all that. Like we're going to play better teams than Iowa is my point.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, obviously. But I'm glad we got to see it's a little tune up before the Oregon game in my mind is how I see this.
Completely. No, the way and we talked about it, the way Indiana's schedule is shaped up is awesome. You have your first Big Ten test against an Illinois team that, lo and behold, turns out isn't as bad as everybody made it seem like they were this week. Then you have a real, true road test, and as much shit as I was giving the Iowa fans for about bringing up the history of Kinnick, there's real history there of them upsetting top teams.
They were right.
Turns out they may have been onto something.
Kinnick is really hard to play.
It is hard to play. It turns out the Iowa fans may have been onto something there. That and the corn. I don't know if anybody saw my tweet about the corn, but Iowa's got a hell of a corn operation going on there. And I'm not breaking any news to anybody, but Indiana just signed a deal with Taiwan to export $6.4 billion worth of corn and soybeans. That's what I found this week, Brad.
That's a good fact. Should have brought that up in the game preview. But
I found it after.
Yeah. What? You have Yeah, I'm good. I'm good on this game. I don't have closing thoughts.
Closing thoughts, Iowa. No, I want to talk a little bit about Fernando Mendoza, because if you look at the box score, I want to talk a little bit about Mendoza. I want to talk a little bit about what this last 5 weeks does for Indiana recruiting, and then I'll let you get out of here, Brad. But
let me get out of here. That's not what I'm trying to do. I don't have much else to say about this game. I feel like we've done a good job.
If you're a box score watcher, or you aren't a film junkie, then you look at what Fernando Mendoza did in this game and you're like, he went on his first road test and he didn't have a good game. And that's just not true. The dude was getting whacked around, especially that last hit on the sideline where
he reminded me of the Cal days,
seriously
smacked around all day.
And the reaction from the sideline and the offensive line tells you everything you need to know about this football team and the way they feel about each other and the way they band together. But like, that kid was getting his ass kicked in this game, and he stood in the pocket and made every single throw. And like that whole shot to EJ, the play at the end with Surratt, the third down throw to Surratt where he stuck at where Surratt held on to the football, which was an underrated part of that play where he just ate the linebacker. Like,
Mendoza got smoked on that play.
These are all things where, like, yeah, it wasn't a great statistical game, but you're not always going to throw for 500 yards and 5 touchdowns and have receivers running wide open. Like, you're going to have to find a way to win a football game.
You're not going to do it in Kinnick. It's also not where that's going to happen ever. I don't know who's ever done that at Kinnick in a ranked matchup, but yeah, I thought he played fantastic. To be honest, I don't even think it was like, he just played good. Like, I thought he played pretty amazing. He was able to get things done with his legs as well when needed. Got a couple first downs through that. Yeah, the kid showed everything I thought he was, and he has it all up. Yeah, he has all the tools, but it really comes down to the difference between him and a lot of other guys. What's going on between the ears, and it looked the part.
Well, I know I said Nico Radicic was the calmest person in the stadium, but honestly, every time the camera shot went to Fernando Mendoza's eyes, like, that dude looked like he was on a beach. Every time he was taking a snap of the football, he looked like he was right where he wanted to be. Like, he didn't look scared at all. He wasn't worried about the moment. He wasn't worried about the crowd. Like, he was trying to figure out what the defense was doing and how to get the ball out of his hands. And that's especially taking the hits he was that game. It's just impressive.
Yeah, someone's got to move that equipment box. I don't know why.
Yes, why the hell is that thing so close to the seat? Like, what the hell?
Why was that so close to the sideline? What are we doing here? What kind of operation we got going on here? At least on the sideline. We need better sideline ops is all I'm saying right now. Yeah, that that was tough. That was tough. Like, very clean hit, by the way. But like at the same time, you're gonna hit our quarterback like that on our sideline. You're gonna get Khalil. You're gonna get a little bit of Khalil Benson. All right, that's just gonna happen.
Were you surprised there were no flags thrown there, and the only flag there was for offsides on the defense?
Pretty sure it was offsetting penalties.
It wasn't, because Indiana declined the penalty and had 4th and 1.
Wow, that's I wasn't too surprised because I think everyone the refs did a really good job. They knew it was going to be physical. They knew it was going to be chippy. They stayed consistent, and yeah, and it fell through in that game. They weren't going to let that little scrap up decide the outcome of the football game, and I think that's a great way to ref. Personally.
Yep, Abel's got me in the chat. He says, nope, it was an offsides penalty. Boom. All right, I want to talk about – I don't want to go too in-depth into recruiting because obviously there hasn't been a ton to talk about. That'll all come out this week. But I do kind of want to put into perspective what 5-0 does for this Indiana football team. Like going into the season, we talked about what last year did for Indiana recruiting, and we saw it reflected in the class of 2025, 2026. They got 5 more weeks of being a legit football team. And again, I am the first person to say don't look at the AP polls, but they're 8 in the AP poll and I think 9 in the coaches poll. Going into a bye week and what's going to be a top 10, maybe even a top 5, who knows what happens with the teams ranked above Oregon and Indiana next week. Like, this is a hell of an opportunity for these coaches to go on the road and sell this program with even more evidence that it's exactly what they're telling you it is.
100%. Just like I said, stacking days, stacking weeks, stacking months. Like, this is the culmination of that. And like, we're ahead of schedule. 5-0 for the program obviously leads to more recruits. 5-0
5-0 in itself.
5-0 puts them in the driver's seat to be in the conversation for the college football playoff, as long as they win the games they're favored in. And then to where they can make themselves more of a lock if they – obviously, I'm an elephant in the room. They have 2 more big road opportunities to make more of a statement. They win one of those. They're basically a lock for the playoff as long as they win the games that they're favored in, right? And obviously, with a 10-2 mark, that's with the way the season's playing out, 10-2 – there might be a blog jam at 10-2, so it would behoove them to get up to 11-1. Right?
I was thinking about that today. Like 11-1 didn't even get you in the Big Ten championship game. Like 10-2, even with 2 quality losses, might not be enough.
2 quality wins and 2 quality losses might not be enough.
Yeah. So let's take that out of the equation. That would be the goal. But just to this staff has the label of one that is unbelievable at identifying talent and fast to act. And when you're able to stack this amount of evidence of your program, it's going to be a really fun week to watch these guys go out on the road. And one of the places they're going to stop, Bryant Haynes is going to go watch Jaden Williams play this week in Massillon, I think is the name of the high school. But he's one of the better linebackers in Ohio. He's been committed to Indiana since June. He's a part of that linebacker trio of Savage and Olinger. He picked up an Ohio State offer last week. It's a big deal for any Ohio kid to pick up an Ohio State offer, so it's not surprising that Bryant Haynes is making that a priority. But you're going to see the coaches hit the trail this week and make a lot of noise on the trail. And so it's a really exciting time to be a follower of Indiana football. Even though we're hitting the bye week, I would argue this is the perfect time for the bye week.
Hopefully one of the noises that comes out is that 5-star Jaden Brewster in Texas. Hopefully he's
October 4th. We'll see.
October 4th, IU bye week. Made that commitment date right after the Illinois game. I know there's a lot of buzz about Texas Tech, but
I saw in a lot of different places to not look into when he announced his date. That's not significant.
I don't care what people they know just as much as me. All right, that's just nonsense. All right, I can spew bullshit too. All right, that's allowed. All right, non-media media here. The anti-media media here. I can say whatever I want. All right. I think it's relevant, is why I'm saying it. I think it is relevant. I don't think you're on campus at a 63 to 10 victory for the school you're visiting. And
where your position group specifically dominates.
Like maybe he already has his mind made up, and that's why he made the commitment date. But I think it says a lot that he says he's going to be ready for a decision in 2 weeks.
SoCal Hot Sauce says, why were the refs prematurely calling victory formation plays dead? Have you heard the official rule? No, haven't heard an official rule. This is something also Cignetti referenced in his press conference. He said he got one explanation from the sideline official, got a completely different explanation from the field official. Still no explanation as to why they weren't letting time run off the clock. The fact that Iowa didn't even rush on the first kneel attempt and they blew it dead immediately was insane. I thought you wait until the play's over. That was nuts. That was the only time it really felt like the refs were affecting the game. And there were times where I was frustrated with some of the calls, but to Brad's point, consistent all night. That was frustrating. Really, really frustrating.
Loved the take a safety to win the game philosophy. I loved it. Obviously, there's some bettors out there that probably hated it. I know a few friends of mine that didn't like the call personally, and really affected them financially. But there's a big philosophy out there in just like football worlds where it's like if you can take safety to win the game, you do it every time. And Cignetti is clearly that old school guy that's going to do it.
Right? He said that the original.
Yes, Mendoza could have slid at the 20, and we would have won the game. But
he said his
instruction was to run in the end zone and fall down.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. Cignetti said the original instruction was for Mendoza to run out of the back of the end zone, but he got caught.
He should have threw it through the back of the end zone. That's what I told him to do. Throw it backwards through the back of the end zone.
Oh my God. Actually, funny enough, not that this has anything to do with Indiana football, but I was at the Carolina-Kentucky game last night, doing a little Kentucky hate watch, scoping out where the enemy sleeps. Kentucky scores the first touchdown. The kid chucks the ball into the stands, like straight into the stands, drills Lenore Sellers' grandpa.
Oh, really?
With the football.
That's funny.
So that's hilarious. And then even funnier, Brad, I don't know if I even sent you this picture, no, I did. The Fox College Football put up a picture of a guy in an Indiana football is good shirt, like doing I think it was surrender cobra, like making a face, whatever, early in the second quarter, and that was our buddy.
Yeah, I know. I showed some of our friends that. I was cracking up when I saw that. That was good.
That was awesome.
Same guy. That's a guy who I know for a fact was in Puerto Rico watching IU hoops. So that's
great Hoosier.
Great Hoosier. One of the more sicko Hoosiers that I know personally. Not gonna dox him, but shout out to you. You know who I'm talking about. You might be watching this show right now. That's how much of a sicko he is.
A great Hoosier.
Yeah.
A great Hoosier.
Great Hoosier. All right, should we run through the Big Ten slate real quick?
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm trying to think if I have any final thoughts. Yeah, really the fact they played Iowa's game and won. I thought Iowa's crowd was really good and as advertised. Although on the Surratt touchdown there were a lot of cheers, a lot of Indiana cheers. Which shout out to the Indiana Hoosiers who traveled.
I couldn't hear the crowd noise. That the Sluggers was going nuts when that was happening.
No, I didn't hear. Well, I was going nuts. We were literally packing up the tailgate, and I was like, "You have to leave the TV out. I'm not walking while this game's still going on."
Yeah.
I'm like freaking out in the middle of the South Carolina tailgate. Everybody's looking at me like I have 12 heads. Surratt's in the end zone. I'm going nuts. But no, I heard it. I've watched the clip probably 200 times between the TV call and the Don Fisher call. Like. It's epic stuff. Third down, gotta have it. Ball in your guy's hands.
Great
What's he do? Finds his best playmaker, and his playmaker Elijah
the best players make plays at the end to win. And we have a bunch of winners on our team, and I think that's the biggest takeaway, honestly, from this is that they're a team of winners. And you get the job done. It's not same old Indiana. And 2015 dub, going on to 5-0, going to October and.
Oh, and then one more housekeeping thing on all of those fourth down plays. Cignetti said Mendoza was doing no audibling. That wasn't in the game plan this week. Those were all run plays. They weren't RPOs. There was no option to pull and throw.
Yeah, it wasn't necessarily about like him running the RPO correctly. It was more so, hey, there's 8 guys in the box. Let's check out to a different play, but I guess that's not in the game plan. It wasn't in the game plan. So
yeah, so I saw a lot of people upset with Mike Shanahan after this one. I don't think he had his best game as a play caller, but I think there were a lot of things I was doing that was making it really, really difficult.
Phil Parker's one of those top coordinators in the league as well. You know, we got Mike Shanahan versus Phil Parker going on. Like it's two elites going at it like that. It's a heavyweight bout. That's just how it goes, right? And we were able to get it done. Like there's nothing really to freak out about. A dub's a dub. Like it's crazy that, like, you know, guys, Akron 4 OTs was 2 years ago. 2 years ago, Akron 4 OTs, and you know we're complaining about a road win in Iowa because we didn't beat them badly enough. Like that, just remember where we came from and just enjoy the ride, because you know we can do all this complaining, but if we don't enjoy the journey, like what's even the point of the destination at that point? So let's go with wrap it right there. Oh, little bow tie action there.
Poetry with Brad. All right, let's get into the slate a little bit, because it was an important week for the Big Ten, for Indiana specifically, and for how the schedule lines up. And again, the way things are going this year, the schedule keeps lining up really nicely for Indiana, where they get Oregon off a really big win and they get to play them on the road. And then it gives Penn State some time to rebuild themselves up in the eyes of the national media before they travel there later in the year for what's hopefully another really big game.
Exactly. So as we get into the slate, quick notes: Old Dominion dub, Kennesaw State dub.
Shout out to Old Dominion. Hashtag rank ODU. I think Indiana and ODU's Twitters have finally found each other after going head to head, because I'm starting to like see some ODU Twitter percolate on my feed, which is nice. So I'm like, yeah, I'm here supporting ODU. We're fighting the good fight for ODU. Just picking up another win, just doing their damn thing.
They should. And honestly, a really good slate here in the Big Ten. Obviously, we're going to wrap it with that thriller at night. Big noon kickoff, USC, Illinois. I think we both picked USC in this game. Not so much because we were down at Illinois, more so we were up on USC in the sense that we thought they could be back, right? Doesn't matter how bad that defense or how mediocre that defense is, that offense looked to be humming, right? And they were moving the ball really well. Mayava was doing his thing, but just wasn't enough to get it done on the road against Illinois. And Illinois was able to win on a game-winning field goal comeback victory. I guess it was a comeback for USC, and then they had to get that game-winning field goal drive.
Homecoming too for Illinois.
The home effect. We need to start respecting home field advantage a little bit more, just in general. Like, not so much about the travel or shit like that. It's more so just like, this is a good team at home, right? And that matters. And that kind of brings it to Rutgers, Minnesota, happening at the same time. Close game, but you know, Minnesota probably didn't play their best. It's probably not. It's a down year for them too, and they're still able to pull it out at home against a decent Rutgers team with good weapons on the outside and get that job done by 3. Didn't watch a lick of it, but but they're able to pull it off, and I think it kind of those two games go in hand where it's like those you know, old school rugged, prioritizes the trenches type programs were able to get home dubs and just take care of business for them.
Which makes it even more impressive that Indiana was able to play that type of game in one of those stadiums and still come out with a win.
Exactly. Washington, Ohio State. I had my takes on this. I was wrong. You know, I'll come up here and say I was wrong. You know, and you said until proven otherwise, you know, you were taking Ohio State no matter what. I think that was a fair pick. I think that's a fair pick. Yeah, moving on.
The team's probably the best team in the country again.
Yeah.
I saw somebody be like they got better on defense and upgraded at quarterback and got better at wide receiver. And I'm like, I'm not sure they got better at wide receiver or if they got better on defense, but you could argue they definitely upgraded at quarterback.
I don't think you can lose Emeka and Buka and think
that's what I'm saying.
Okay, at receiver. But
I was having the same thought. But no, their offense might be slightly better because Sayan's ceiling is definitely higher than Will Howard's.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
That's a scary team again. To go on the road like that in an environment like that and win that convincingly. And that line started at like 14.5 and was bet all the way down to like 8.5, I think, or something crazy like that. Yeah, Ohio State just proven they're a national contender until proven otherwise.
Yeah, they're scary. And that freshman, Bo Jackson, number 17 carries, 80 yards. Jeremiah Smith did his thing, 80 yards and a tutty. They made it work, and Washington made it difficult for them. They were up 3-0 for most of the game, but then just eventually just worn down. The Ohio State defense, like you said, they could be better. They look scary. They were able to shut down a team that.
Well, Caleb Downs is as good as anybody in the country. Arguably the best player in the country.
They were able to go on the road 3 time zones away and stop a team that scored on 21 consecutive 21 consecutive possessions and able to hold them to 0 touchdowns in a game. And with that type of momentum, that is this Ohio State is scary. And I think we just need to accept that. It's not going to be a downward. And then you see was that good on?
You want to skip this one?
The UCLA Northwestern. Just a bad football game overall. For everyone involved. That's really all I gotta say about it. And then the last one, obviously. Ohio State got dubs on the road, Indiana got dubs on the road. Oregon was going on the road, but they're going against that other, the Power Four of the Big Ten, the 4 representatives in the CFP from the Big Ten last year. Common theme there. So 2 of them were going up against each other. We had Ohio State in a whiteout. And I'm really liking your Drew Aller take from going into this year. It's really coming to fruition, and it's almost like my eye test philosophies have started to rub off on you, and you're doing a great job.
I appreciate that, bro. Well, listen, I spend enough time with you. We have enough conversation. But it feels like the moment gets to that guy, and when it's not a clear picture, he struggles. And when you have a team with the athletes that are able to match up with their athletes, it becomes really difficult for him to make plays. That pick was not I don't know what window he was trying to fit that ball in, but there was like 4 or 5 Oregon players over there. Like there had to be somebody open given how many people were on that side of the field. But that team is, again, at every other position on the field, disgustingly talented, as good as anybody in the country, and regardless of the way Aller plays, can beat anybody in the country because of their run game and defense.
Mm-hmm. And I want to apologize to Dante Moore. I don't do this very often. I don't. Usually,
this is very big of you.
Usually I'll stick to my guns and continue calling him ass, but the amount of development that I've seen him over the last couple of years, going from UCLA, now flash forward 2 years to this year, watching that Penn State game, an important part in just eye evaluation is remembering that these are just kids, right? So when I was watching him, he was 18, 19 years old. Now he's 21, 22-year-old man, and he's starting to look the part, and it's looking like a first-round quarterback is what I'm seeing from him. A pocket passer that has mobility but doesn't rely on it. Crazy, wicked arm talent. Great decision-making from the kid. I don't know.
That's another guy who was – they were wearing white in the whiteout, funny enough, or like silver or whatever color they were, and his jersey was green.
Yeah.
Covered in turf or grass. Yeah. They have to play on grass.
Yeah, he was gritty. He had a great showing. And Dante Moore, he continues to play like that. Oregon can have a very similar season to what they had last year and maybe take care of some unfinished business that they weren't able to accomplish last year. That's where their heads are at. So, like, we know where Indiana's looking for the same things, right? So it's just a heavyweight bout that we got coming up in Eugene. And it just couldn't become more apparent after watching that Penn State game that Oregon's legit. It's gonna be.
I hate ranking.
Work cut out for us.
I hate ranking football teams, but I think based on 5 weeks of play, it's pretty clear that Ohio State and Oregon have separated themselves as the 2 best teams in the country.
Yeah, watching what Ohio State did to Washington and then seeing like the way, not just like winning in Washington, but like doing it the way they did, like shutting down that Husky offense. And obviously getting it done on the defensive end in a very inspired defensive effort from Washington. Like, you tell Washington they're giving up 24 points to Ohio State, you're like, oh, we probably go to overtime and maybe we have a shot to win the game, right? And it just wasn't like that at all. And then on the flip side, Oregon, we thought they were going to take a step back It's really hard to bring in 3 different starting quarterbacks and have them all work out to start a head coaching tenure, right? And they've been able to get it done. They were able to find Bo Nix, now Dylan Gabriel, now Dante Moore, taking the reins in that offense. Super well coached team. That Oregon O-line, too, is probably the best in the country. And that we're going to have our work cut out for them, for us, on our defensive front. They're going to have to really step up and get home and make some plays. So, yeah, that'll be a fun one to preview.
Strength on strength.
In like 10 days.
Yep. Yeah. I think the Big Ten is really good. And I think Indiana has a
lot more contenders in the Big Ten than there are the SEC. That's all I'll say. After watching
Indiana
that Georgia game, I don't know.
Well, yeah, again, I said, like, I was at the Carolina-Kentucky game last night, and, like, my takeaway was, yeah, their environment is awesome, and the stadium's really cool, and the production and all that stuff, like, it's kick-ass. But in terms of, like, on-field football, like, Indiana matches up so well with both of those teams. Like, I was just licking my chops the whole time.
Mm-hmm. Dude, even watching, like, Georgia-Bama. I remember watching Georgia-Bama last year and just remember thinking, like, wow, that is a different level of ball. And then I watched it. The same teams this year, it's like not what it was last year. just wasn't. Like, the quarterback play, like, Ty Simpson played all right. Like, he's okay. Like, Kalen DeBoer's system, I know what that looks like. Peyton Ramsey was able to thrive in that system. So it's like I can't look into it too much as in terms of, like, Ty Simpson's an NFL talent just yet. But, yeah, from what I've seen, the top of the pack in the Big Ten clears the top of the pack in the SEC. SEC might have more depth, sure, but Tennessee and Missouri looking the part. Mississippi State had a really good game. They look very competitive. But at the top in the Big Ten, those 4, maybe 5, if you want to throw in Michigan, something like that, it's ultra competitive up there in the best conference in all the land, America's conference.
And it's exciting to be a part of the conversation, and hopefully keep pushing our way deeper into the conversation. And again, we have that road test with Oregon, who looks like one of the best teams in the country. An awesome way to prove yourself is to go there and make it a hell of a game. And it'll be strength on strength. And if Indiana finds ways to move the football, we could be having really exciting conversations. But that's not the point of this episode. We're not going to jump into Oregon. That was Iowa's recap. Indiana post-game live.
I need paper.
Toss it behind us. We're moving on. We have a bye-week extravaganza show planned for you. Like I said, Tuesday night is arguably going to be my most favorite. Most favorite
is the grammatical way to say it.
It's going to be an awesome show. We have Brian P. Lawton, the lawyer who defeated the NCAA and won Lewis Moore's eligibility. We have him coming on the show on Tuesday. He's been very gracious to give us some of his time. We get to talk about the case a little bit, figure out kind of what the legal battle was, and just say thank you. And then we'll have Jamie Jordan, IU Reactionary, Hoosier Huddle's Jamie Jordan on. We're going to talk last 5 weeks. We're going to talk next 5 weeks. We're going to talk Indiana football recruiting and just what it feels like being an Indiana football fan, rooting for this team who's 5-0 in back-to-back years for the first time in program history.
16-2 in the Signetti era. Love that.
It is good time to be an Indiana Hoosier. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, all that good stuff on YouTube. Follow us at the VOC. Well, follow the Voice of College Football at the VOCFB. Follow Indiana at Indiana VOCFB. You can follow me at Alec Keyser. You can follow Goom at Bradley_Loomis8. We're on Instagram. We're tweeting all the time. We're on. I think we'll fire up the edits game again on TikTok one of these days. And yeah, like I said, bye-week extravaganza coming up. Your Indiana Hoosiers are 5-0. Enjoy a hell of a road win in Kinnick. The first time Indiana's won there since 2007. Just the 4th time Indiana's won there since 1980.
Love that. History. History is being made every week with this program. And it's just, like I said, enjoy the journey, guys, because the destination is coming real soon. Let me tell you. Maybe not this year, but maybe the next, maybe the year after that. I mean, this team's a contender. They're going to stay contenders as long as Signetti's there. So enjoy the journey. Take it week by week. Go to the bar with your friends, watch the game, enjoy
the bye week.
Be weird, get confident, get cocky about it, and if whatever happens, right? And I think that's just how you just gotta enjoy it, you know. 'Cause you don't know how much time, we got left.
Jeez. We've got a hell of a show on Tuesday night. I hope you guys join us 8 p.m. right here on YouTube.
In terms of like the program, right? That's I was talking about the program. I wasn't talking about that.
Simulcasting on X through the Sigs Inside pod account. Appreciate you guys for hanging out. Go Hoosiers. Go Kurt Signetti. Go Fernando Mendoza. Like, shout out to the boys. And God damn, 5-0, baby. Let's go.
Band of brothers,
Band of brothers. Go Hoosiers. We'll see you guys on Tuesday night.
See ya. I like that you're calling it bye